Picture this. You live in a city that's basically an ancient Dubai. Palmyra is rich, powerful, and most importantly, a crucial trading hub, where merchants from Rome, Persia, and India exchange everything from spices to gossip. Your rulers are ambitious, and your Queen Zenobia isn't content with being a vassal under Rome's rule. She looks at the empire and says, "You know what? I think I can do better." And for a brief, glorious moment, she does. She conquers Egypt, beats back Roman legions, and declares an independent Palmyrene empire. People cheer, coins are minted with her face on them, and for the first time in history, Rome is sweating over a desert city-state. But here's the problem. Rome doesn't like being embarrassed. The empire's been through a rough time: barbarians at the borders, civil wars, economic collapse, and a plague. And now, some upstart queen in the middle of the desert thinks she can take advantage of Rome's bad year. Enter Emperor Aurelian. If Rome were a high school, Aurelian would be the strict principal who doesn't tolerate nonsense. He takes one look at Zenobia's rebellion and decides it's time for some disciplinary action. By 272 CE, he marches on Palmyra, crushes Zenobia's forces, and drags her back to Rome. But the people of Palmyra, they're not done fighting. A year later, Palmyra attempts another rebellion. Big mistake. Aurelian doesn't just defeat them, he obliterates the city. The grand trading hub, the jewel of the desert, is reduced to ashes. And this is where things get interesting. Because when Rome destroys your home, what do? You run. This is the untold story of the people who fled Palmyra, the merchants, the soldiers, the families who packed whatever they could carry and embarked on a dangerous journey into the unknown. Before we talk about the great refugee exodus, let's take a moment to appreciate what was lost. Palmyra wasn't some small, dusty outpost. It was one of the wealthiest cities of its time, sitting smack in the middle of crucial trade routes. It was a melting pot of cultures: Romans, Greeks, Persians, Arabs, all mingling, trading, and debating whose gods were the most powerful. The architecture, stunning. Towering colonnades, grand temples, and an oasis in the middle of the desert that made Palmyra feel like a mirage come to life. The economy, thriving. Merchants made fortunes selling silk, spices, and luxury goods. If you were a rich trader in Palmyra, life was good. You had a house with a courtyard, fine clothes, and maybe even a pet monkey, because why not? The politics, complicated. Palmyra was technically under Rome's control, but it operated with a lot of independence. That is, until Zenobia got ambitious and decided Rome was more of a suggestion than an authority. For a while, things were golden. Palmyra flourished as an empire of its own. Then Rome came knocking. Aurelian was not the kind of guy to let things slide. He was a battle-hardened emperor who spent his reign putting out fires, barbarian invasions, economic chaos, internal betrayals, and now Zenobia had taken Egypt, which meant Rome's grain supply was in danger. That was personal. So Aurelian marched on Palmyra with an army that did not come to play. Zenobia put up a good fight, but in the end, Palmyra's forces were overwhelmed. She tried to flee on a camel, not the fastest getaway vehicle, let's be honest, but was caught. The city surrendered. Aurelian surprisingly spared it. Maybe he had a soft spot for its beauty, or maybe he thought it wasn't worth the effort to burn it down. But then the second rebellion happened. Palmyra, despite its defeat, wasn't ready to be a Roman lapdog. Someone, probably an overconfident general, rallied the people to rise up against Rome again. And Aurelian? He was done. This time, he didn't show mercy. He returned to Palmyra, crushed the rebels, and ordered the city destroyed. This time, he didn't show mercy. He returned to Palmyra, crushed the rebels, and ordered the city destroyed. Buildings were toppled, people were massacred, and those who survived had one grim option: leave or die trying. So now we get to the great refugee crisis. Thousands of Palmyrenes had to abandon their homes, their livelihoods, and everything they knew. But where could they go? The Roman Empire, a risky bet. Some Palmyrenes tried to reintegrate into Roman society. If you were a merchant with good connections, maybe you could bribe your way into a Roman city and start over. Some were absorbed into Roman garrisons as auxiliary troops. Others became traders in cities like Antioch and Alexandria. But Rome wasn't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. If you had been a supporter of Zenobia, you were not getting a warm reception. Some refugees were treated with suspicion, arrested, or worse, executed as traitors. Persia, the frenemy option, the Sasanian Empire. Persia was Rome's biggest rival, so it made sense for some Palmyrenes to seek asylum there. The Persians weren't exactly known for their hospitality, but they did like the idea of using Palmyrene refugees against Rome. Some exiled nobles were given positions in Persian courts, while skilled warriors found a place in Persian armies. The Arabian Desert, life among the nomads. For those who wanted to avoid both Rome and Persia, the desert was the answer. Many Palmyrenes sought refuge among Arab tribes, adapting to a nomadic way of life. They traded city comforts for a harder existence, moving with the seasons and learning survival skills that would make Bear Grylls proud. Some of these refugees would later become key figures in the rise of Arabian kingdoms that would challenge both Rome and Persia in later centuries. Egypt, a safe haven with a catch. Egypt had once been under Zenobia's rule, which made it a questionable choice. But some refugees managed to slip into cities like Thebes and Memphis. The downside? Romans kept a close eye on anyone from Palmyra. Being too outspoken about your past could get you labeled a troublemaker, and Romans didn't like troublemakers. Palmyra may have fallen, but its people carried its culture wherever they went. Traders spread Palmyrene customs, architects influenced building styles across the Middle East, and soldiers brought their unique fighting techniques into new armies. And let's not forget Zenobia's legacy. Her rebellion may have failed, but her defiance inspired future leaders who saw Rome as an enemy. Her story became legendary, proving that even the mightiest empire could be challenged. As for Palmyra itself, it never returned to its former glory. What was once a city of splendor became ruins, a ghost town in the desert. If history teaches us anything, it's that empires rise and fall, but people keep moving forward. The Palmyrenes who fled didn't just disappear, they adapted, they rebuilt, and they shaped the world in ways they never could have imagined. And who knows? Maybe the next time you hear about a refugee crisis, you'll remember that this isn't new. It's just history repeating itself, one empire at a time.